There we go. Sweet. We are officially live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Chiropractic Compass podcast and Facebook Lives, brought to you by the legendary Chiropractor online community. I'm your host, Johnny Reuter, and today we are talking and have the opportunity to speak and hear from the invincible Dr. Ryan Bones. Dr. Ryan
Good afternoon, Johnny.
How you doing, Doc? I know you have a lot of content that you want to go through and offer for students and docs, and we are going to roll with it. And so Dr. Ryan Bones graduated from Parker University in Dallas, Texas, and he is a practicing chiropractor in Idaho. And he is, I'm not sure how many years out of school, but very little years out of school, 3, and he's absolutely crushing it where he's at. I'll let him share a little bit about how he got to where he is, how he found chiropractic. But to say the least, this is someone you want to follow. This is somebody that you want to have in your back pocket as a resource and always keep in the front of your mind when it comes to business, when it comes to systems, and when it comes to social media and getting out there and getting in your community. So without further ado, Doc, I want to have you have the platform, give you the platform to introduce yourself, share your accolades, and tell everybody how you got into this incredible profession of chiropractic.
Wow. Well, first of all, that was quite the intro already. So thank you. Much appreciated. My ego is, I think, big enough as it is, especially if you ask my wife.
You got to fit out the door, right?
So yes, I am in fact Dr. Ryan Bones. I'm guessing you just said Idaho because you didn't know how to pronounce Coeur d'Alene and you didn't want to butcher it on air.
I did not want to butcher it. I did know how to say it. I will throw that out there. I did know how to say it.
Okay. All right. I try. You've heard me say it before.
I have, yes.
So yes, I practice in beautiful Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, which is way up in the chimney of Idaho. It is not potato country. It is mountains and lakes and trees, and it is absolutely stunning and beautiful. I do not hail from here. I hail from rural South Dakota. So shout out to anybody that has any South Dakota ties, which is normally absolutely nobody. And then I went to undergrad at Nebraska, did my doctorate at Parker, and spent some of the better parts of my years at both in undergrad as a chiropractic assistant, which really kind of confirmed that this is 100% where I wanted to be with my life. But it actually started even before that when I was like 12 or 13 years old. I do not come from a chiropractic family. I come from a very long line of farmers. We have a big farm and ranch out in eastern South Dakota in the middle of nowhere. And grew up a farm boy and a ranch hand. And so if you need to build a good square railroad tie barbed wire fence corner, I got you.
I'll give you a call soon.
Okay, good. But I realized pretty early that I love people and I wanted to work with people. And I was always kind of a black sheep on the farm. I was the one that I didn't want to drive a pickup. I wanted to drive a nice car. I liked to dress nice. I liked to be clean. I did not listen to country music. And so I never really fit in there on the farm and the ranch. I found chiropractic actually when I took a charge playing basketball when I was in like 3rd grade. My tiny little town of 1,000 people thankfully had an awesome chiropractor, old school Palmer grad, who kind of took me under his wing and really almost sort of groomed me towards chiropractic and really planted the seed pretty early. And then when I started trying to figure out what the hell I wanted to do with my life, when I was like 11, which is weird, 12, chiropractic really clicked for me.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to own my own business. I've always wanted to set my own hours, be able to help people live better lives, but be able to make all my kids, t-ball games or whatever it may be. So chiropractic really clicked for me. Then I went to Nebraska, worked as a chiropractic assistant for Dr. Pete Wavers at Lincoln Chiropractic Center. Awesome. And that is where I got to finally see other people experiencing the miracles that we know happen through the detection and correction of vertebral subluxation. And I got to see families heal and have lives returned to people firsthand for 3 years. Mm-hmm. And that is where truly the fire lit for chiropractic. Then going down to Parker, I had the opportunity to shadow for lots of great offices and screen for offices and had really great mentors that helped me come out of school and be successful right out of school, which is something that You don't see that often,
Yeah.
sadly, which is something that I'm kind of on a mission to change now. But it was because of the preparation that I put in while I was in school that I was able to walk across the stage with my office lease signed, my business lease signed, my new apartment lease signed, load a U-Haul, drive to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, where I didn't know a single person. And 3 months later, Beyond Bones Chiropractic opened to the tune of about 103 people pre-booked when we opened. That was kind of my initial, come blow onto the scene, where I kind of made a name for myself, if you will. I also, while I was at Parker, had the awesome opportunity to do my first TEDx talk,
awesome.
Which I did, called Dr. You, understanding the power that we all have within us, right? And talking about innate intelligence at TEDx SMU. That was 2015. Yeah, it was 2015. Which was, go check it out on YouTube. You can see how incredibly nervous I was. That was actually really my first big public speaking thing. Since then, I've been able to do a second TEDx talk at TEDx Coeur d'Alene, where I talked about millennials and our entrepreneurial spirit. It was my first TEDx talk that actually got me noticed by the genius, the crazy mad scientist himself, Tristan Schaub. I had always loved ChiroSushi for its content, for its hilarious memes. And I remember one night, it was 2 a.m. that ChiroSushi commented back on a comment I made in one of the posts. And so I was like, oh my gosh. So I messaged them really quick because I was like, oh, they're online right now. And commented back and said, hey, I really love your stuff. I have a whole folder of you guys' memes. You guys do really, really great stuff. Thank you for being a fresh voice in chiropractic. And Tristan was on the other end of the line, and he wrote back. We began sort of like a bromance, a long distance bromance, where he then interviewed me for a podcast or for a live like this. He was, I guess, kind of impressed with what I brought to the table, because a few months later, he gave me a phone call and said, I want you to be the Oprah to my Stedman. You can ask him. Those are literally his words.
I'm not surprised at all.
And he wanted me to be president and co-owner of ChiroSushi at the time, which I graciously accepted. As I was only a year into practice, it was a lot to take on, as well as growing, or more so trying to hold on to the reins of an exploding practice here in Coeur d'Alene, and not overdo it with myself, which I'm really good at doing. And so I was president of ChiroSushi for about 2 years. We had our first ChiroSushi summit about 2 or 3 months after I came on as president. I'd never met Tristan actually in person, yet we co-owned a company and I was president of it together. We met in Vegas for the first ChiroSushi summit. We kind of made a name for ourselves with that. We had Grant Cardone there. We blew it out. We had an awesome party, and it was a fantastic success. We did a lot the next year, launching the Samurai Mentorship Program, then came back and we had our second, the ChiroSushi Summer Camp, which had some other fantastic names, Brian Tracy, JP Sears, among others. And so that was another fantastic event. Last year was kind of my year of speaking. Went everywhere from Mile High to Focus to Vegas, and to Life University, where I met you. Yep. I was offered a position as adjunct faculty to teach the Business Capstone 2 course once a quarter at Life University, which now I'm going on, I think, my sixth or seventh quarter here. Awesome. Coming up in a few weeks.
Awesome.
And towards the end of last year, fall of last year, ChiroSushi was actually acquired by Sean and Lacey Dill and Black Diamond Enterprises. And so I now have transformed a little bit more into a student-focused role with ChiroSushi, where my wife Cassidy and I are leading up student program, and we have some big student initiatives in the works, while Tristan and Sean and Lacey have grown it to bigger and more powerful and more fantastic status than ever before. leading up to the second ChiroSushi summer camp here in Miami at the end of June. If you don't have your tickets yet, highly suggest checking it out because we have some crazy names coming down to that. And it is going to be truly an entrepreneurial summit, not actually a chiropractic event. One of my best friends from here in Coeur d'Alene, who's an electrician and owns his own electric company, is actually coming just to learn.
Awesome.
And so that has been the roller coaster that has been the last few years of my life. Tack on meeting the love of my life and marrying my wife, Cassidy. She came into the practice about a year and a half after we opened. So about a year and a half after I met her and took on the practice manager roles. We have since had associates and we have grown and won best of in our local community. And it's been a fantastic ride. It is honestly the best analogy I can come up with. It's been like a snowball that I don't know how I got on top of. And I'm just praying to God I don't fall off and hoping that I don't get rolled up in it. And so meanwhile, along the way, trying to give back and reach back to the others coming up behind me so that they may stand on my shoulders and become even more gigantic.
Yeah, absolutely. You got a lot behind you and a lot ahead of you as well, Doc. I'm very impressed by your accolades. I'm very impressed by all that you've done in the last three and a half years. From ChiroSushi to opening your own practice to being involved in your own consulting company and IFCO and all of these different things. And I want to, for the viewers out there watching this, especially the students, to understand that's where, you've mentioned that you're kind of taking on more of a student role now.
Yeah.
But when you came and taught the Capstone 2 class, it was like that's all you cared about was the student aspect, how we got to where you are and further, and how we go about, opening a successful practice day one. And that's the most important thing. So understand that Dr. Bones is a very student-centric person, and he will talk more a little bit at the end probably about IFCO student stuff and ChiroSushi student stuff and all that. So we'll save that until the end because I want to start diving into topics, content, value, because I know you have a ton to offer. So with that being said, content that we're covering today, I'm just going to bullet point list it out, and then I'll circle back to the first one, and I'll let you speak on it. How does that sound, Doc?
Sounds good.
Awesome. So we got pros and cons of dropping insurance, getting hyper involved in your community, where the profession is heading, and obviously IFCO and ChiroSushi. So with all of that behind us and those topics, I want you to speak a little bit about your insurance experience. How has it changed your office for the good, the bad, and the ugly, and why did you drop it?
Man, okay. This is a lot of stuff.
It's a big question.
This is going to be a good one.
Yeah,
there's going to be no shortage of content in this podcast.
I should have made some tea.
Yeah, right? All right. So insurance. When I was coming out of school, I really had a long struggle mentally about whether or not I wanted to start out taking insurance or not. It took me months through the build out and through everything. I talked to so many people. I was trying to get a feel for how my networking was going to see kind of where we were going to start out as a practice and like where we're going to be able to sustain this and pros and cons and talking to mom and dad and mentors and friends and colleagues. And it really, honestly, it was a hard freaking decision. When I first opened, I did decide to accept almost all insurances and bill directly. At the time, coming out brand new, I was by myself. I ended up hiring two basically kind of like front desk CAs that helped me in the week before I opened and then helped me in the first couple months of practice. And then one stayed with me for a couple years, but they did not know how to do insurance. I did not know how to do insurance. And so we banked on the expertise of a third-party billing service in chiropractic. And that was all good and well, I think, in theory. What I found was a couple things. Number one, when I was first opening, I do think it was an advantage that helped me build momentum where I could tell anybody, like, yes, like, we accept your insurance, we'll do a benefits check, we'll bill directly for you, and we'll take care of all of that. It helped more people, I'm sure, book and say yes. Mm-hmm. However, by me as the practitioner and as the owner of the practice not fully understanding the intricacies of what it meant to take insurance and what that involved, mm-hmm. I effed up a lot of stuff. My team effed up a lot of stuff. We were getting benefits over the phone. We gave the best estimate that we could to people, because as anyone who does insurance knows, plans are very complicated. There's a lot of different rules and exceptions and pre-authorizations and all these things. We were really bad at estimating that when we first started opening. It was kind of a nightmare. For example, there's a number of cases where my team did not acquire pre-authorizations when we first started, which meant that after we did all this care for people, we got paid $0, mm-hmm. and they were responsible for $0, and so we got $0. That's hard when you're opening a new practice. Yeah. We had the insurance billers that we were working with at the time. They were working with us to try to coach us on some of this stuff, but it was hard being overwhelmed with a new, very busy practice, which is great. I was great at all of the external stuff, the marketing, building value, building community, building network, bringing people in, building confidence. And I was great at the chiropractic adjustment and delivering my service. It was a lot of what I call the boring details that actually make or break a practice behind the scenes that I wasn't very good at and kind of overlooked and took for granted. That ended up really kind of coming back to bite me in the ass as I figured out, like, holy crap, my accounts receivable is a freaking dumpster fire, and I don't know who owes me money. I don't know who I owe money. I don't know when insurance checks are coming in. I don't know what's been billed out. I have no freaking clue what's going on. Thankfully, this is about the time that Cassidy and I had been dating for just a little bit. That's my wife. Her background is real estate. She started and ran a real estate team in neighboring Spokane, but she was very, very good at the spreadsheets, at the details, the data, the numbers crunching, and that stuff. So she started kind of volunteering, if you will, in the practice, like at 7 o'clock at night after her long day, to try to help me put out this dumpster fire, and did a lot of work, kind of saved me in a lot of ways. But we were realizing that there was so much going on with the insurance game that not only did we just not, like, fully understand that what we were getting ourselves into, but also that was really restrictive on what we could do, what we couldn't do, what we got reimbursed for, what we didn't get reimbursed for, how we had to obviously coding properly, and all these different things. It really became a huge deal to try to fully understand what was going on so that we could just wrap our heads around it and make sure we were doing it correctly and legally and everything along the way. In doing so, she started basically finding some discrepancies, if you will, in what had been billed, what had been paid, what had not been. And so we started asking some questions to the billing service that we were with at the time. And to this day, we still don't know exactly what happened, but we realized that there was a number of months where approximately only about half of our claims got billed out to the insurance company. But they said they were billed out on our side of the software. And so we ended up cutting ties with that billing service, and which if you think about this, being that we were at the time probably, 50 or so percent, maybe 60% insurance revenue based, not only had we only been billing half of that for the last few months, Jeez. Meanwhile, we have a big office and a big overhead and staff to pay and bills to pay. But once we cut ties with that billing service, we had nobody billing our insurance. So we had zero going out. So you think about over half your revenue kind of basically disappearing overnight because it simply wasn't getting submitted. Yeah. That was a big deal for us. It was also right around the time of our wedding, so it's not like we had any other stress going on whatsoever. But it was a huge challenge for us. and Cassidy deserves almost all of the credit. She went back through and audited every single patient file that we have, looked at what had been billed, called the insurance companies directly, asking what dates of service they had, what they didn't, basically figured out the entire giant ball of yarn that was our insurance billing in this debacle. And meanwhile, learned how to bill insurance, got us set up with a different, just basically a clearinghouse that scrubbed claims before they submitted them. She did took on personally all the insurance billing, learned how to do that, and got it submitted. Which means that there was about a month and a half or so that we had 0 claims billed out because she was righting wrongs, putting out fires, and figuring out what the heck to do.
Yeah.
Once she did that, it was great because now we had essentially all these claims that had never gotten submitted that were suddenly submitted, and now we were waiting for things. But then she had to go through the flurry of denials for this and didn't have the right paperwork for that, and they didn't submit this, and this was whatever, right? All in all, it ended up being just a huge kind of black spot on what was our kind of second year in practice. That was a huge obstacle for us to overcome, both as a practice and as a couple, a newly married couple, frankly, that we did. And once we got it figured out, we looked back and said, man, why are we doing this? Like, why are we playing this game? Why are we begging at third-party reimbursement when we have practice members on a week waiting list to get into this office because of the value that we've built in the community, and because of the relationships that we've built? Why are we subjecting ourselves to this? And I have to give a shout out to Sean and Lacey, Sean Dill and Lacey Book of Black Diamond Club, because they were in our ears and helping mentor us through a lot of this, as was Tristan. Basically, they gave us the confidence to say, you guys are worth more than the $26 Aetna gave us an adjustment.
Yeah.
When our cash fee is $60, the allowed amount to be in network with Aetna at the time was $26. So we were taking a 50% hit on every single Aetna adjustment that we were giving.
Right.
It was not that far different with United Healthcare or Regents or Blue Cross Blue Shield or all these other networks that we were in network with. A lot of the students don't realize, but basically to be in network with insurance company, you're kind of, dare I say, selling your soul a little bit, because you're saying, I'm worth what you determine I am worth.
Yeah.
I say I'm worth $60 in adjustment, but you determine I am worth $32. You know what? Here it is. I'm signing on the dotted line to agree that I'm only worth $32 in adjustment, based on however many you think that they should have, and what if you guys say that that's okay that they get adjusted here, and that you're going to accept their claim. Which really puts you in handcuffs and puts you in shackles and limits what you can do, how you can do it, and the value that you can build. It also just really kind of puts the insurance company between you and your patient. And when you're caring for patients, there should be nothing and no one blocking you from just simply doing your absolute best to serve that patient the best way possible.
Yeah.
And so it was about that time that we decided that we were going to get out of the insurance game. We, like I said, had the value built in the services that we provided, the experience that we provided, in our name, in our brand, in our community presence. And so we didn't require insurance to send us patients or to be on their network. Like, it didn't matter anymore because of the work, and I'll get into this in a minute, because of the work I had put in being hyper involved in the community, nobody came to Beyond Bones Chiropractic because it was the best deal.
Right.
Nobody came to Beyond Bones Chiropractic because their insurance was accepted here. People come to Beyond Bones Chiropractic because they freaking wouldn't go anywhere else.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you have built that authority in your community, it doesn't matter if you're in or out of network. It doesn't matter if you take their insurance or not. People call and wait to get into your practice for the opportunity to receive the services that you deliver.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so many people have a scarcity mindset about, people aren't going to be able to afford me. There's other chiropractors that take insurance. Man, none of that matters. It all matters about the value that you build in yourself to your community. Because your competition is not the chiropractor down the street.
Right.
Your competition is 500 channels.
Yeah.
Your competition is their daily coffee, their hair getting done, the new watch. That's your competition.
Yeah.
And so if you can build more value in those things and build value in a fully functioning nervous system and living life subluxation free, which that's what you need to start practicing, is how to communicate and deliver that value to people right now as students. If you can do that in your community, you're going to have a line out the door.
Yeah.
And so that made us decide, you know what, we're not playing this game anymore. We started phasing out insurance networks. Most of the time you just have to submit a letter to them and say, I'm going to be out of network. Normally there's like a 30 or 60 day waiting period. Some of them had a little bit longer. And so we actually just celebrated on May 1st, our first day, commercial insurance free.
Awesome.
We did make the decision to stay in network with Medicare for the ridiculous amount of guidelines that is stipulated there for being in or out of network and how you can see people or how you don't see people. That is the one that we have kept, is Medicare, solely for that reason, which is going to be for at least the time being anyways. But everywhere else, we are out of network, which is an incredible feeling of not just freedom, but of clarity and certainty.
Yeah.
In that when I tell somebody, this is what I'm going to do for you, this is how I'm going to do it, this is my fee. That's all there is.
Right.
Like, my fee is my fee. My service is my service. There is nobody standing between me and you and the ability to care for you. My relationship is with you and you directly. Your relationship is with you and your insurance provider and you as their client, and that's it.
Yeah.
You pay my fee. We'll give you. A lot of people call it a super bill. We prefer the term detailed reimbursement receipt, because I don't know anybody who likes to receive a super bill.
It's pretty negative.
Super bill? Like, I don't want a super bill. And so it's a reimbursement receipt. And so they'll get that. They can submit it in an envelope and send it to their insurance company and be reimbursed directly based on their policy. Because frankly, their policy and their benefits is between them and their insurance company. Like, it's not our fault. The other thing that was a huge factor of not wanting to be in network with insurance that I don't think a lot of people will actually talk about, because it's not your obvious one, is the shit that we got, and I'll be very raw if I may.
Yes, absolutely.
The shit that we got, particularly Cassidy, not even me, because I'm the provider. I got to say, I don't know about, like, Cassidy handles the insurance stuff, right? And I got that luxury. But if you come to our practice, and you are on maintenance or wellness care, and that's not covered by your insurance program or your insurance plan, when somebody, we try to we explain that as best as we possibly can to people, but there are so many times where there's confusion. A practice member calls their insurance company, tells them some bullshit like, oh no, that should be covered. All they have to do is, use this code. Well, dumbass, that's an active care code. Like, they're not on active care, they're on wellness care. We're using the proper code. We're not going to be fraudulent to try to get your stuff covered, right? Like, we're going to use the proper code. And they come back and they say, well, my insurance said this should be covered. It's your fault. So when there's a misunderstanding or when their insurance doesn't cover somebody, guess whose fault it is?
Yours.
Cassidy's.
Yeah, or hers.
Right?
Yeah.
Or hers, but ours.
Yeah.
Ours. And that's bullshit. Because what your plan does or does not cover, we have no control over that. That's not our thing. Our thing is our service. And so we had people, because of, again, we did our best to explain how that works and how the benefits is going to work. But inevitably, a lot of times people are in pain. They're not really listening about the finance part anyway. They just, hey, let's get started. But we try to reiterate that. But there's confusion, and they get fed a line from their insurance company. They come in, and they yell at us about how what we're doing is completely wrong by coding correctly and actually, believe it or not, making them pay for their service. And so it was very, very stressful. It created a lot of tension in Cassidy, to the point where, there were times when, like, Kesty would want to go out into her car and cry because somebody came in and yelled at her for something that she had nothing to do with her.
Right.
And we were bending over backwards to try to do our best to take care of people and, you know, get people's stuff covered if it's at all possible, whatever we may do. And then to get ripped on, was bullshit.
Yeah.
And so I even saw it in her, where I was like, she's not going to sustain this. Like, this is not sustainable. Because there was a point where she didn't want to come to the practice anymore because she was just tired of the game that it was.
Yeah.
And so that's just not something I don't think a lot of people talk about. But, now that we're out of that, it's not our responsibility anymore. Our responsibility is solely to deliver the best possible care and the best possible service to our practice members. What gets reimbursed is between you and your insurance company, man. If you're going to yell at somebody, yell at them for not having better out-of-network benefits or whatever it may be.
Right.
And so it's been a process. It's been about a year in the making to transition out of insurance. Here we are. We just celebrated our 3-year anniversary. So we were in network for about 3 years because we just went out. But I have to say immediately we see the difference in not only it's forced us to really reevaluate our experience, our in-office experience, our adjustment experience, our scheduling experience, absolutely everything, because we want to make sure people are getting 10 times what they're paying for.
Yeah.
And that goes everything from not only the power of the adjustment, but from their experience walking in the door and from their experience on the phone and their experience in the lobby and what do we have to offer? If we have drinks for them, if it's a nice place to sit, if we have good music, like everything. Because they're paying for it out of pocket directly.
Yeah.
Right. So it's been great for us. We've really stepped up our game, I can tell. But also it's so much clearer now. And I've already seen better compliance in like the few, because we do recommendations and we have care plans. And so for the last 2 or 3 weeks, the recommendations that we've been making have largely been out of network based. So It's been largely cash based for that estimate. Right. And you know what we found? Nobody even blinks an eye, man.
Right.
Like, nobody. Seriously. And so that's one of the things people are so afraid of. Like, I take insurance. If I don't take insurance, people are going to leave. Mm-hmm. If people are going to your office because you're in network with their insurance and not because of the quality of care that you provide, you need to take a good, hard look at what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because if people come to you because you're the cheapest, as soon as someone opens across the street that's $1 cheaper, they'll go somewhere else.
Yeah.
But if people come to you because you're the best and because you've built relationships with them and put roots down in your community and built up the authority that you have in your community, then it doesn't matter. As long as you can find a way to make it budgetable and affordable for them to have care in your office, they're going to come to you. Absolutely. And so lose that lack mentality, I tell people.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. Great stuff, Doc.
Sorry.
Great. No,
there's my rant on that.
That was great stuff. So, but I want people to see, the authenticity, the realism behind all that, because there is a lot to running a practice that I don't think we learn in school. And there's a lot that comes with it, like insurance, like dealing with getting patients in the door. And it doesn't have to come to that bridge of like, do I have to take this? Do I not have to take this? What would you tell? I wrote down a question like, how would you encourage someone coming out of school or a new doc to learn this if they want to actually bill insurance? So like, if they are like, I'm billing insurance because, my chiropractor bill insurance, his chiropractor, whatever. If they want to do it, how do they go about learning it? And then we'll talk about the flip side of that after you're done answering that.
You know what? This is a really good question. The best thought I could have outside of, a lot of personal research and reading articles and reading books, and there are classes for that if you want to go so far. I think the easiest and maybe the first step would be find an office in your area that bills their insurance and just spend time in the office watching them do it and asking questions.
Yeah.
It's frankly like there may be some offices that are very closed doors about that. I would warn you that maybe there's something there that you shouldn't be learning then in the first place. most of the time, like if a chiropractic student came in and said, hey, could I just watch you as you bill insurance? And could you explain the process? Hell yes.
Yeah.
Come on in, man. Spend some time. You can spend time back with Cassidy looking at freaking EOBs.
Right.
Like if that's really what you want to do. But I would encourage, it should be what you want to do if you want to take insurance.
Yeah.
Because what we found once we learned how to do it, it's really not that, it's not that time consuming. It is time consuming and it is difficult because there's a lot of steps to learn. But there's a lot of technology that makes it easier. There's some clearinghouses, kind of softwares that you can work with that makes it easier. Your ChiroTouch or Platinum or whatever, EHR you're using has systems to help make it easier. And it is doable. It is learnable.
Yeah.
We have been doing it for the last, year and a half. And so I would just shadow in an office and learn from somebody who is doing it to get a general feel, because you'll learn more that way than you probably will ever learn in school.
Yeah. And I think you answered the flip side. I just wanted to get the other perspective too, because I think you answered the flip side of that of we were in insurance for 2.5, 3 years, and then we kind of were weeding out of it, which is perfectly fine and awesome. Because now I think that it flips the script a little bit, and it's on your patient experience. It's on your office feel. It's on the culture that you attract into your office versus,
right.
Like you said, there was a block between you and your patient. Not only if you had to figure out the finances behind hey, we do take your insurance, here's what we're going to do, but also them getting kicked back and saying, hey, my insurance isn't covering this.
Yep.
And now it's your fault. And then that puts up another barrier. So it's it's coming from both angles, and that's never what you want in your chiropractic practice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It was creating tension and confusion. The best part about being, I'll say 90% cash is the pure simplistic clarity that it provides. From not even a doctor standpoint or a provider standpoint, but purely from a business standpoint, your accounts receivable and your budget are very important things. You need to know when you're getting paid for things. You need to know what you're making versus your overhead. You need to understand if you can sponsor that little league team, because are you going to have the money to do that next month, right? Those are important business decisions.
Yeah.
By being cash, that is so much easier.
Right.
Because now whether it's monthly auto debits that you have set up with a practice member, or they make their payment, monthly when they come in, whatever it may be that you have set up. Guess what? You can call them and you can ask them, hey, do you have your payment? Or it's just you and them. That's it.
Right.
When you start trying to factor in an insurance company and when you're going to get that mailbox money with the check that comes from Blue Cross, AR is so much harder.
Yeah.
And it becomes so difficult because sometimes it takes 3 months for something to process, and then actually got denied. Joke's on you. So now you got to actually change and add that modifier so that now you can send it back and get it. And then about 3-4 months later, you'll get that $26 for that adjustment from frickin' 6 months ago.
Yeah. And the Little Leagues team has moved on to someone else.
And they have moved on. Yeah. Now they got your competitor on their chest and they're winning the championship. So.
And they're on national television. So
they're on, they win they made ESPN, man.
The Cordain Little Leaguers don't have Beyond Bones on their shirts.
No, exactly.
Because they miss an insurance.
No.
Oh man. I want to share with everyone, the fact that you've gone through all of that, in 3 years is incredible. But you know what, Doc? That makes you that much better and that much more, not necessarily more reliable, yes, but also it gives you the experience, the wisdom, the insight to say, hey, here's the pros, here are the cons, here's what I did at first and why we got out of it or transition. And I think to have students watch this podcast and really relate to that, because it's coming. And I don't care if you watch this podcast 100 times or one time in 5 years when you're out of chiropractic school, if you're in now and watch this again, I guarantee you there will be people that this video helps tremendously. So thank you for that. Thank you for that insight. I think it's incredible, Doc.
Appreciate that.
Absolutely.
It's hard. It's sometimes hard to appreciate the fire when you're in it.
Yes.
But I look back and I realize that, if we hadn't gone through that whole freaking billing debacle, we'd probably still be taking insurance, man.
And you would always question it, right? Like, you'd always be like, I wonder if I took insurance, if I'd get more people. Or,
Exactly.
Exactly, yeah.
Exactly. And we probably wouldn't have as good an office experience because we've really stepped that up. All these things.
Yeah.
And it just does suck when you're going through it. But looking back, my best friend, Phil, actually stopped me in my tracks one night when he said, like, don't you want to teach students? And I was like, well, yeah. He goes, dude, like, no one will ever listen to you if it was always easy for you.
Right.
Like, what are you going to speak on if you started practice with $1 million in the bank and you just bought everything and it was easy and you just like paid for marketing all the time? Like, what are you going to teach and who the hell is going to listen to you?
Yep.
And he's like, this is important because it's helping you help others. And I was like, oh God, that's true. Shit.
Don't say those words.
Quit making sense.
No, that makes perfect sense, Doc. I love it. So let's move on. Topic number 2 is getting hyper involved in your community. And we talked a little bit about this, but I want you to expand because in the business class that you teach at Life University, it's important and critical. You talk all about social media marketing. You talk about marketing in general and how you can get your name, your face, your office, your logo in front of people before you even have an office or you even have your doors open. And I think that is something that is very important. So go ahead and talk on how you get hyper involved in your community before getting into practice.
All right. Another humongous topic that I could do 2 podcasts on.
Probably a weekend seminar or something.
Right. All right. So we'll start with this. I think we can split this into a couple different ways. Yeah. A lot of what I'm going to reference is going to be talking about if you're opening your own practice. A lot of it, though, can be translated to if you're going to be an associate, because you still need to build your name, your brand, your practice's brand, and build that awareness and build relationships in your community. So if you're not going to open, if you're just going to be an associate or vice versa, just know that they both apply. Yeah. It's just some things will apply differently, right? So pre-marketing is really what it is. It's the biggest mistake I see a lot of students make is if they're, let's say, for example, going to open a practice, they move to the community, they're going to open a practice, they worry so much about their space, and then they go in and they paint everything, and they hammer every nail, and they decorate everything, and then they're all excited, they got their space done, and they open their doors, and not a damn person knows who the hell they are.
Yep.
Because they have been in their space swinging the hammer for the last 3 months, not out actually meeting people. And then they wonder, first of all, where everybody is, or now they struggle because they have open hours, right? Like they need to be there, and so they can't get to stuff all the time, and they got their 5 patients spread out over 4 hours, right? And they're essentially handcuffed to their desk.
Yeah.
Instead, I highly encourage you or the students to think about where their value is best spent. I can promise it's actually probably in the community. And so there's a series of steps that you need to follow to have the best possible opportunity to do that. Number 1 is while that space is being built out, obviously there's cost for that. If you're going to hire a contractor, there's a cost for that, right? If you have a painter, architect, electrician, there are costs for that. Not to mention if you are attending events and doing things full time, you're not working, meaning that there's a cost associated with that. So if you are opening a practice, you're likely, at least at some point in some fashion, going to have a business loan, big, small, whatever it may be. It is so valuable to put in the amount of money you will need to hire professionals to do things in your space and cover your cost of living for 2-3 months as that's happening leading up to your grand opening. Mm-hmm. And then I would even argue a few months after that too.
Yeah.
But that will allow you the freedom, if you will, to go out in your community, to market, to network, to build relationships, do everything you need to do without being handcuffed into your practice, allowing professionals to do their thing. You can check in, check on the space, make sure things are going well, answer all the questions, and I promise there will be 1,000,001 questions. How high do you want the outlets?
Yep.
I don't know. Outlet height, right?
Probably just as high as the other one.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, well, how many outlets do you need? What color are we doing? Taupe or almond on the outlet covers? And I'm like, oh my God, Jesus. So there's
those are things you don't think about, though.
Yeah, it's things you don't think about, right? So things you answer your questions, be decisive on that. That's the other piece of advice I can give. Because you know what doesn't make a difference in how much money you're going to make in your practice? Almond or walnut. Like, what color freaking outlet covers you have. So just, I don't know, pick one, blue, fine, go with it. And get open and get your space done. But your time in the community is so valuable, and it's not just going to a networking event where you're chucking business cards at people. Why I said become hyper involved in your community and not just hyper marketer in your community is especially if you're going into a tighter knit, even like generally like smaller community. You know what people don't love is somebody who comes out and chucks business cards at them and wants to talk about themselves. People want somebody who is there for the community. People want somebody who is going to be putting roots down and building a business and building a family and learning about how they can help others and lift other people up. So look for opportunities to get involved in programs, on boards, on committees, find opportunities to volunteer for things, go to fundraisers and lift up others in the community. When you go to events, you should be asking 10 times more questions than people are asking you. Mm-hmm. You should be asking people not about, hey, do you have back pain? What do you do?
Right.
Oh, that's so cool. How long have you been doing that? How can I get to know you? The best advice I can make for this is read How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Yeah.
It's an old book. It's a fantastic book. It has stood the test of time for a reason. I seriously credit so much of why I'm successful to that book because it taught me how to go into any interaction with another human being and walk out of that interaction with them going, I really like that guy. You know?
Yep.
And people liking you won't get you everything in life, but it'll get you a lot more than people not liking you will.
Right. Yeah.
And so if you can build those relationships and build those connections, it doesn't matter if they book an appointment that day. Mm-hmm. In fact, that's not the goal. The goal is for them to know who you are and love and trust you and look at you as a trusted advisor and look at you as somebody they respect, mm-hmm. because that's somebody that not only will they go to when the time is right and they cross that road and they need you, but also that's who they're going to send people to anytime a family member needs somebody or a community member needs somebody, or maybe they actually need a board position opened up and they need somebody to fill that. They're going to take you, the trusted advisor, and the person they have a connection with over the guy that fixes low back pain.
Yep.
Right? And so your job when you're diving into your community, when you're new, is not to sell chiropractic.
Right.
It is not to sell your office, to promote your office. It is to build relationships and build so many connections that you become the native and favorite son of that community when you've only been there a few months. Mm-hmm. And people show up for those who show up for them.
Yeah.
So go to other people's grand openings. Go volunteer at other people's things. Donate raffle prizes to things. Because, as Sean would say, mirror, mirror. If you expect people to come to your grand opening, why would they if you didn't go to theirs?
Yeah.
Or if you didn't donate a raffle prize to their thing, why would they do it for you? Mm-hmm. Right? And so just be careful. Like, when you're showing up for people, they'll reciprocate that. Yeah. I mean, that's the universal law.
Right.
And so what I did from a black and white strategic standpoint, which I think is important. I think general concept theory we have here, like, that's why you're out there.
Yep.
Know the what, how to do it. Because I had 3 months. I had 3 months between the moment I arrived in town and my grand opening date was March 31st, 2016. I arrived basically January 1st. I took first of all, I joined 4 chambers of commerce, which in retrospect was probably excessive. Probably could have got away with like 2 or 3, but I joined 4. And then I took every single community calendar I could find. Every single one of them. from the newspaper to Facebook to the chambers to the nursing home, like whatever the frick it was. I took it and I laid them down on top of each other, digitally, right? And I filled like my entire calendar with events. Obviously being wary of, okay, like this one costs money, this one has an entry fee, like this one's free, this one's free, this one's free. There's a lot of free shit to do in your community that you can just show up, shake hands, kiss babies, get to know people for $0, and it's fantastic. You just got to know where to find it, and you just got to look,
right,
and not be afraid to show up.
Right.
So much of this first 3 months of pre-marketing is just showing up. Mm-hmm. And so I laid down all those community calendars. I found the main big events that I was going to, like, I wanted to sponsor the health and wellness fair. Because if you sponsor the health and wellness fair, you get to put materials in the swag bag that everybody, like, that in our community, like 5,000 people come to and get. It was like $2,000 to sponsor that. If you're running ROI on all the, like, in your head of all of these things that you're trying to make decisions on where to invest, you got to first of all estimate, like, what is the cash value of somebody who walks in my door? Mm-hmm. Let's say let's say somebody's going to do an average visit, like let's say they're going to stay for 20 visits on average, and it's $100 a visit. Okay, well that's, oh wow, okay, well 20 visits, $100 a visit, that's $2,000, right? So that means if one person walks in my door that I estimate I'll return $2,000 on that, do I think I'm going to get one person from a $2,000 investment to sponsor that health and wellness fair and put stuff in all the bags? You're damn right. Yeah. I bet I'll get 5 people at least.
Right.
So that's good ROI. Mm-hmm. And so obviously you're going to make that decision, you're going to do that, but then also you're going to track. Oh, hey, new patient. Hey, how'd you hear about us? Oh, like your stuff was in the swag bag. Oh, wow, that's fantastic. Boom, checked it off. Because now come next year, wow, I got 15 people from that health and wellness fair. I'm calling them 9 months in advance and saying, I want that sponsorship spot. Count me in, put my name on it. I'll write you a check tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right? Because I know that returned 15 times what I spent on it. So anyways, be careful about that, because not everything may be a good investment.
Right.
Just as Sean would say again, just because it's an opportunity doesn't mean that it's a good one.
Yeah.
I went to freaking everything in those first 3 months. I look back now, like, it probably wasn't worth my $200 to have a booth at the knitting fair. Like, that wasn't my target market. It wasn't who I wanted in my practice. Now, don't get me wrong, Ethel is fantastic, but she's not my target market. Same with the freaking yellow pages. Some of the worst money that I think I spent when I was opening practice, freaking paying $50 a month over like a year and a half to have a bolded little thing in the yellow pages. What the hell was I thinking? It was 2016, mind you. It's not even like it was like 10 years ago. Like, people throw out their yellow pages the moment they get it, right?
If they get it.
If they get it. If they get it. Yeah. I think I just felt bad for the poor sap selling advertising in the yellow pages. Like, good Lord, that's a rough gig. And so, there was a lot of things that I probably would have done a little bit differently, been a little bit more selective. So be careful about where you're spending your money and making sure that you're calculating that estimated return on investment. However, that being said, there is always the benefit, no matter what you do, of visibility and connections, right? Mm-hmm. So my rule when I was doing this, you talked about social media, was if I didn't post about it, it didn't happen. Mm-hmm. And so let's say you go to the knitting fair. Let's say you meet one person, Ethel, and you are there for 5 hours and you have met one person. You might look at that and say, man, this is a total freaking loss. I should never have done this. If you take a picture of you at the knitting fair, you post it on your social media, you tag the event or venue or wherever that is where that was, you go around, you meet all the other vendors that are also at the knitting fair, you take pictures with all of them, you tag them, say, hey, oh my gosh, I met Ben from Super Yarn, he's awesome, they have the best freaking yarn. And you go around, you meet everybody, you take all these pictures, you tag the shit out of everybody that you met. Guess what? Now, not only have you built a lot of relationships there at the knitting fair of people that, who knows, maybe you're going to have a yarn night at your practice, but you have put yourself in front of not only your social media audience as being involved in meeting cool people, great, but also by tagging them, if you say something halfway complimentary on your post, they're going to say, oh, wow, that's cool. Click accept. And now you're in front of Ben's and Super Yarn's entire Facebook audience or Instagram audience. If you do that with 10 or 15 people, now 10,000, well, I mean, that's maybe rough. I don't know how popular Yarn is. 5,000 people.
It's a niche environment.
It is.
It's a niche market.
But 5,000 people saw you, saw your face, saw your practice name, saw that you were doing something in the community. That might be it. They might just see your name or your face one time.
Yeah.
But if you do that at all the events that you're at, and you do that often, and maybe they click on your Instagram page, maybe they click follow, maybe they click on your Facebook page, and they click Beyond Bones Chiropractic, and they follow that because you have such good content that you have built in the background of your social media page, which is a whole other discussion. Build good content on your page so that if people find it, they actually want to follow it.
Yeah.
There we go. Now, because they happened to see you on a post 2 years ago, they started following you, and now 2 years later, they get in a car accident. Guess who they're going to come to?
Yep.
They're going to come to you.
Yep.
So that knitting fair wasn't a total bust because instead of just sitting there with your twiddling your thumbs, you actually took initiative to go meet people and blast it out over social media because it's free publicity.
Yeah.
How cool is social media? The fact that it's free white space and free advertising basically that you get when you're using it well.
Right.
And so there's basically what I did. If I didn't post about it, it didn't happen. I did that everywhere. And pretty soon I had people coming up to me going, I follow you on Facebook, and I have no clue why, but I see everything that you're doing, and man, you are everywhere. Who are you? I have to meet you.
Right.
Like, or people would be like in a restaurant, and I'm like sitting there eating, and they're like, hey, are you that Dr. Bones? I'm like, yeah. And they're like, man, I see you at like all these events. Like, I've just recognized your face. You're everywhere. What? Who are you?
Yeah.
Like, why?
Yeah.
And so it became such a, I don't even know, like guerrilla marketing tactic of just being everywhere and being so visible.
Right.
Everywhere, all the time. I mean, this was not just going to events, but it was being at fundraisers and charities and balls. It was being on committees. It was volunteering for things. It was, so I laid down those community calendars, right? Well, obviously there's like blank space. In that blank space, if it was before 5 o'clock on a weekday, that's business hours. Never do something during business hours when you're in this crunch time that you can do outside of business hours.
Yeah.
Divide your time. You can't make calls or do business to business or set up meetings with people at 2 in the morning.
Right.
But you can work on your website.
Yeah.
You can work on your paperwork. You can build your social media. You can do that at 2 in the morning, right?
Right.
So be really specific about the times that you're spending. And in those hours, I set up one-on-one meetings with high-level people in the community. And so I did this by basically, I kind of stalked who are influencers in the community. I did this a few different ways. I started doing it before I ever moved to Coeur d'Alene because I knew I was going to move to Coeur d'Alene a few months before I graduated, and I started following all of Coeur d'Alene's local newspapers, the news channels on Facebook, on Instagram. As I would read articles, as I would see people, like I would note, oh, like Mayor Steve Widmeyer.
Yeah.
Okay. Mayor Steve Widmeyer. Like write it down on my list of people to meet, right? Oh, councilman. Write it down on my list of people to meet, right? Oh, a business owner, John Butler. Oh, okay. I write down John Butler, right? These are people to meet. And so I'm just following and I'm like stalking my community, future community,
right.
From a distance, to develop a game plan and strategy of how I was going to win it over when I rolled into town.
Yeah.
Like I would compare what I did in 3 months to freaking Blitzkrieg, where I was everywhere for everybody. But then I had this list. So I actually met somebody like the first night I was here that ended up being like a big influencer. I asked him if I could take him out to lunch. Sure. So we go out to lunch. I have like a list of 50 freaking questions that I'm asking this guy. Everything from like who should I know in this community? What events should I go to? What groups should I be a part of? What should I avoid? How are you successful in this town? What's the culture politically? What's all this like, right? But my best question when I got done was, who are 5 people that you think I need to meet in this town? And, oh man, you should meet Nick Smoot. You should meet this guy. You should meet this guy, right? So that's great. You know, I'll find their information. Would it be okay if I just mentioned that, you recommended that I meet with them? Sure. Awesome. So now, I'm typing up my email. Hey, I met with John this last week. And of course, because he's an influencer, the person that they know who he is. So, hey, I met with John this last week. I'm new to community. I'm going to be, starting a business and starting my family and putting roots down here. He said that you were somebody who I should know who has been very successful in this town. And he thought you might have a few minutes for me that I might be able to ask you a few questions. Would that be okay? Not one single person said no. And I bet I did that 100 times.
Love it.
And so I met with them, and then I'd ask them, who are 5 people I should know? Who are 5 people I should know? You do that over 3 months. I had people messaging me saying, you've met with all of my circle. When is my time? When do I get to meet you? And that alone got me more positions, recognition, speaking opportunity, board interviews, all this stuff, because I was influencing the influencers. So influence influencers of your community. I would say specifically, if you want to narrow it down, of your target market. Influence the influencers of your target market.
Yeah.
Build connections, build networks. Because guess what? If somebody has, rather than saying, hey, can I do a lunch and learn to your 5 employees? How about, hey, I'm having my grand opening here in a few weeks. I'm sure you have a pretty big email list built up because you've been in business for 35 years. Would it be okay if I wrote up a little blurb about my grand opening? Would you send that out on your email list? Oh, sure. Yeah, we'd be happy to do that.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thanks. Now, freaking 10,000 people just got an invite from somebody that they trust,
right,
that they have a relationship with, inviting them to come to your grand opening.
Right.
How much did that cost? $3.50 for a coffee in 25 minutes.
Yeah.
Right? And so
it's incredible.
that is where you can saturate a market, saturate a community in 2 months.
Yeah.
And become the guy.
Right.
And make your name synonymous with chiropractic.
Mm-hmm.
We have built such a reputation in Coeur d'Alene that basically when you say chiropractic, people say Beyond Bones.
Right.
And what that has done is, because guess what? Of all these people that I met and all these people that came to the grand opening, all these people that, heard my name, maybe, 1% have ever came in for an appointment so far, right? However, they all know who I am.
Right.
And so when their mom needs somebody, they're going to say, oh, you should go to Bones.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, why? Have you been there? No. I know him, and I know a lot of people, have seen great results. I know a lot of people who go there. You should go there. Oh, okay. Do you know how many people come in our office, and when we ask, why are you here? They say, because everybody said I had to come here.
That's amazing.
And those people who come in because of that reason, they're not there because we take their insurance.
Right.
And they're not there for any reason besides the fact that this is the only place that they would ever let anybody touch their spine. And so the quality of those practice members versus the quality of practice members that you get from your $40 Groupon ad, please. Day and night difference.
Yeah. Well, because those are real relationships, and you just talked all about it. You create that bird's eye view, and you figure out what your initiative, what your goal is going to be when you actually arrive in the community, and you meet the right people. You ask them for 5 people that you should know in the community, and you keep doing that until you meet just about everyone or as many people as you possibly can in 3 months. And Dr. Bones, I think I've never heard it explained any better than that. I think that's incredible. And again, if students are watching this, or any business people out there watching this, this is fire. This is pure gold. So I'm not sure. We got to share this. We got to share this everywhere. This is incredible.
We'll get it around.
Yeah,
we'll get it around.
We got to get this around. So
we know some people. That's all right.
Yeah, all these students need to know this stuff. So with that being said, let's go right into, now that we are insurance free, we are involved in our community, hyper involved, and then where is this chiropractic profession going? Good, bad, ugly? Tell me what your thoughts are. I see, the glistening in your eyes tells me chiropractic is my favorite thing in the world.
It is.
But man, do we just love to shoot each other.
Yeah. God, right?
So go ahead and just talk to me about chiropractic, what your thoughts are. And man, I mean, we're over an hour already. At this point, it doesn't even matter. This is just stuff that people need to hear.
We're gonna keep going. We're keep going.
Absolutely.
They can watch it in multiple segments. That's fine. Okay, so this is a very hard question, but my answer is going to be chiropractic as a profession is going wherever we let it go. And I say that because if we don't let it go to shit, it won't. If we let it, it will. And when I say that, I mean, look at the attacks that are currently upon us. Look at everything that's happening in Australia with the pediatric care, which I unfortunately believe will soon be followed by something probably similar in Canada. Canadian chiropractors are also under attack as well, just as Australian is. And when I say chiropractors here, I actually mean chiropractors. People who practice chiropractic.
Yeah.
Which I think is an important delineation to make, because there's a lot of people with chiropractor on their sign who I would not grace them with that title. And there are people who are working to fight for the preservation of chiropractic. Now, we can get into a very long discussion about one's personal philosophy of chiropractic, but at the end of the day, there is one philosophy of chiropractic, the philosophy of chiropractic, and that is that the body is designed intelligently, that we have innate intelligence that controls and regulates every single organ and cell and tissue, that's carried through the nervous system via the mental impulse. Vertebral subluxation interferes with our body's ability to communicate that and function properly. And chiropractors are the only ones specifically trained to detect and remove those vertebral subluxations, therefore allowing people to express health and life the way they're designed to, which is at 100% and healthfully. Now, there's a lot of people who want to change that. The thing is once you change it, it's not chiropractic anymore. Like that's just the end of the day. Like that's fine. You call it whatever you want, but it's not chiropractic anymore. And so we have a lot of people who want to add in different things. And there's 1,000,001 reasons for that, man. Whether that be because their parents still refer to them as not a real doctor and they want to be able to prescribe drugs so that mom and dad will finally allow them back at Christmas, or if it's revenue based, that they see dollar signs if their ability to do injections in their practice. They can now do prolotherapy, so now they can make more money doing that. At the root of it all, in my opinion, it's purely a lack of, number one, understanding of what it is chiropractic truly does and has to offer people. And then I think that is coupled with an insecurity and a lack of self-confidence in one's ability to build value and deliver the miracle that is the chiropractic adjustment.
Yeah.
When you have that combination, it makes for kind of a perfect storm of needing to justify, fill, supplement, when in reality the adjustment itself is pure and wonderful and more than enough. And there are more than enough people who are desperately looking for what we have to offer as a chiropractic profession. They just don't necessarily know what we do and how we do it and why we do it yet, because there is so much confusion. And so that, we get into this other debate about, well, who cares? Like, let them do their thing. We'll do our thing, right? That's all good and well.
Right.
Until it's not.
Until it's not.
Until we're passing legislation that changes what we can do and say in our office and takes away the lexicon that has held up and been the basis for our entire profession since 1895. When we are attacked on and limited on what we can write on our websites. I mean, just ask anyone from Canada. When we have our public confused because the guy next door says he's a chiropractor, but he prescribes drugs and gives injections, but you said you're a chiropractor. So, but don't you prescribe drugs and give injections and everything too? Like, I don't understand. You know what? There's just too much confusion about this whole chiropractic thing. I'm not ready.
Yeah.
A good mentor of mine, Michael Viscarelli, used to say, a confused public does not buy.
Right.
A confused consumer does not buy.
Yeah.
If we have confusion in the marketplace, we are going to struggle as a profession across the board. Not just in principled vertebral subluxation-based chiropractic, but across the board.
Yeah.
And that's a big issue, man.
Yeah.
That's a huge issue.
Yeah.
We're going to really, really run into trouble with that. And so that is why it's so important that we have some people on the front line fighting to defend vertebral subluxation, our ability to detect and correct, and protecting that message to the public. Right now, the forefront of that is the IFCO.
Yeah.
That is one of the reasons that I'm sporting an IFCO shirt. I understand that you are a new member of the IFCO.
I am a brand new member.
So welcome and congratulations to joining the front line of defense for chiropractic.
Absolutely.
And so thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And you can tell I'm a little bit passionate about this topic too. I help head up the student committee. Actually, we call ourselves the IFCO Student Strike Force to help bring the message of the IFCO to students. We're launching more and more clubs on campuses across the country. Life West is really our flagship club right now. Hiba Ahmed is at Life West. She's the student leader there, and she's doing amazing things with the Life West Club, growing and growing. And we're seeing students realize that chiropractic's worth fighting for. Principled chiropractic is worth fighting for. And understanding the advantages that comes to that, not just from like a philosophical advantage, but from freaking a marketing advantage. Because you know what's rare in a community? A specific expert of the detection and correction of vertebral subluxation. It is our unique selling proposition, because there's a ton of places around me that do, they have supplements and they have PT and they have a massage therapist and they have this and they have that and colon blow and about every other damn thing. When people come to my practice, I tell them I do one thing. I do it better than anybody else around here. And that is take care of your spine and your nervous system. Mm-hmm. That is what I do. And do you know what? That's what they want.
Yeah. When
it comes to their freaking spine, you know what people don't want? A dude who does 15 things half-assed.
Yeah.
Or 1/15th assed. And so the IFCO is doing the work, the dirty work, if you will, behind the scenes to help protect our right and our privilege as a profession to detect and correct vertebral subluxation. So I highly encourage anybody who is on that mission to plug in with the IFCO, go to the website, go to the Facebook page. On my page, I'll have links to it and everything. And I'll give you any and all resources that you could possibly want, as will Steve Tullius, as will Liam, as will Jen Steinberg, as will Sean Dill, as will so many others that are a part of this who are trying to fight the good fight for the future of our profession. Because like I said, it's going to go the way we let it go.
Yeah.
If you think it doesn't affect you, if you think politics doesn't affect you, you're wrong. Like I wish that I could be softer about that, but you're just wrong. If you think it doesn't affect me and my practice, you're wrong, because decisions are being made. Mm-hmm. And as Walt Bones used to say, if you're not at the table, you're probably on the menu.
Yep.
And so we got to be taking an initiative to be in these boardrooms, at these discussions, helping shape policy to protect and preserve the future of chiropractic rather than just letting it go and burying our heads in the sand and just, I just take care of people in my practice, man.
Yeah.
You do. Until you can't anymore because you can't see kids because they passed a ban on pediatric chiropractic in your state.
Right.
And if you don't think that shit is like that's where it's going, you're wrong.
It's going there.
And so if you're not getting up in arms now, that's fine. Find somebody who is and give them some support that they need.
Yeah.
That might just be going to an event or sending out a mailer or emailing your list of friends or sharing this video or whatever it might be. If you're not ready to go knock on doors of senators, that's fine. Just join the IFCO and pay the small due that it is, and we'll go freaking knock on doors of senators for you. But support is conditional.
Yeah.
Not just for us from you, but also for you from your state and from your organization and from the rest of the leaders of the profession. So
absolutely.
Here.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah. And it's $50. I was on a call with Dr. Liam Schubel, and it's $50 for a student, and you're for your whole time. The whole entire time you're a student, it's $50. Yeah. There's no like you buy a 2 weeks worth of Starbucks, and that's like almost $50. Like you put your money where your mouth is and start acting, to protect what we have. And if we're going to support the schools, like Dr. Liam Schubel says, you support education, you support research, and you support politics. And those are the exact three things where your money needs to go if you want to see chiropractic advance in the right direction. And I think you're absolutely right, Dr. Bones. It has to come down to, you got to stand for something or you'll fall for anything. And that's the premise of it all. And it's so true because, all of these chiropractors and even chiropractic students are going to sit back and they're going to do nothing. Right. And we're going to sit here and
because what are they going to do? I'm a student.
Yeah. I'm a student. I'm not involved in politics. You're more involved in politics as a student, if anything. Like, it's ridiculous. And if you're not aware of this, you got to start to be. So, students, I encourage you to get out there, talk to me, message me about the IFCO. I mean, whatever organization, ICA. I mean, whatever you want to commit to something, stand for something. Because it's going to be taken away from us soon, and like you were saying, it's going to sweep the nation, and it's going to be a problem. And you have to have money to support those that are willing to be on the front lines to stop what is to come, and it's inevitable.
Amen.
Right?
And that's, to be honest, one of the reasons that I am so passionate about helping make students successful is selfishly because the more successful chiropractors we have, the more money we have to go towards funding for political organizations, for lobbyists to help make change in our favor.
Yeah.
To go back to research, to go back to schools. Successful chiropractors help the success of chiropractic.
Yeah.
It's not just, hey man, you're going to make a whole bunch of money, you're going to save it in your bank account, and you're going to go retire, and you're going to sit on the beach.
Right.
I mean, you can, but you're not helping anybody bigger than yourself.
Exactly.
And that's going to get really lonely really fast. But successful chiropractors are good for the success of the profession. And that's one of my biggest drives and passions for students is to help make more of them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate the work you're doing. And also to go along with what you were saying about, you got 1/15 of the doctor, or you got a half-ass doctor or a half-ass care. And it comes down to, the adjustment. I've talked to several people on this topic, on this podcast, because it's that important. The adjustment is enough. I mean, it's enough. It's fine.
Yes.
It's okay because, like you said, people want it. People want the adjustment. They want a biomechanical problem solved by a biomechanical solution. And that is exactly what needs to happen. And I actually just read that from Dr. Craig Burns, if you know who he is. He's with like Lifestyle something. But he's awesome. And he said, I see people all the time, we're delivering a biomechanical solution to a biomechanical problem. It's exactly what we need to do, and it's exactly what people want. And it's so true. So, Doc, thank you for that. Let's talk now about ChiroSushi. Students, ChiroSushi secrets, ChiroSushi summer camp, whatever ChiroSushi stuff you got, Lay it on us.
Okay. All right, you bet, man. I already mentioned summer camp.
Yes.
If you can get there, I cannot encourage you enough to do that. Go to www.cometosummercamp.com, and you will learn all about it. You will see who is speaking. Just follow Tristan Schaub on Facebook. Follow Sean Dill, Lacey Book. Those guys, they're talking a lot about it. Follow ChiroSushi, obviously, not just for the memes, but for all the incredible content that we're putting out. On top of that, from a student perspective, my wife Cassidy and I, along with Tristan and Sean and Lacey, have been working a lot behind the scenes to help prepare to launch a student program, a student initiative. We're going to be coming to campuses all around the country, and we're going to be helping to seed and start up clubs on campus called The Club that will help students be more successful from the business standpoint, from the entrepreneurial standpoint, from the sales standpoint, the marketing standpoint. Everything that you don't get, we're going to fill that gap.
Yeah.
And so we're going to do it in a way that nobody else is doing it, because we have looked at everybody else and how they're trying to do it. And we tried to identify every single blind spot, because really it's all complementary.
Yeah.
Frankly, like, we're big believers in collaboration, and we want everybody out there trying to help students to be helping students in our own way.
Yeah.
Because, in our opinion, there's no one right way to do everything. There is your right way to do something.
Yep.
And rather than give you how to do it, we want to enable you to understand it and be successful in how you want to do it. And so that is what the entire premise of the club will be all about. We are currently still in contact with, but also looking for potential student leaders across the country. So if you are at a school and you want to be more successful and see your peers be more successful, and you're interested in possibly talking to us about what it might take to start that at your school, please message me, and we will get in touch very quickly, and we will find out what we can do to help you be the most successful version of yourself. On top of that, we have more plans coming to support students even farther, both on campus, off campus, in school, out of school, and after, to make sure we have the most successful chiropractic generation the world has ever seen.
Yeah, absolutely, Doc. Wow. I love it. I love it. I love ChiroSushi, everything you guys do. You guys are great. The memes are hilarious. You can't get enough. You can't ever get enough. Especially as a chiropractic student, but I love your initiative. I love your program. I love what you guys are going to do, because, I mean, the people you listed, you, Tristan, Sean, Lacey, I mean, all of you being incredible human beings, wanting the best out of the best from every single person, and that including the student. Because to me, and I see this in you, obviously, it's the students need to come first. And, we always say, we eat our young in this profession. I don't think that's necessarily true, but what happens is the students get neglected, and, we get caught in the grinder, and then we get spit out, and then all of a sudden we're like looking back at each other like, oh God, where do I even go from here? Like, I don't know how to open a practice. I don't know how to run a business. I don't know how to apply for a business license. I don't know what finances are. I don't know what insurance is. Like, and
exactly.
You have all of these things that are just blowing your head. But you know what? You passed part 1, 2, 3, 4, and PT, and you passed all of your classes, but you have no idea what to do when you actually need to become a chiropractor. So
exactly,
to say the least,
exactly.
a program is needed.
And that's why students are falling into bad associateships with bad mentors and bad positions, because they're not empowered to do it on their own, and they don't even know to recognize a problem.
Right.
Man, so that's why we want to help students be empowered to be their own master and to have the power to do what they want to do the way they want to do it, and not need necessarily to rely on anyone else besides themselves.
Right. Absolutely, Doc. Well, that is all 4 of our topics. I mean, it took an hour and 22 minutes and 50 seconds to get through all that. I mean, if you watched this entire video, I congratulate you. I thank you from the bottom of my heart, and I know Dr. Bones does as well. And I encourage you to reach out to him. Doc, I want you to leave people with some closing remarks and some action steps of how to get in touch with yourself or Tristan or ChiroSushi. And whatnot, because I want people to have some resources to attach to.
You bet. So first of all, if you're seeing this, you can find me on Facebook. If you want to friend request me, that's awesome. If you just want to follow me, message me on Facebook. That is all fine. Instagram is at beyond_bones. Find me, follow me on Instagram. Send me a message on there. That's great. My email is bones@chirosushi.com. If you have questions about summer camp, I would direct you to Tristan at chirosushi.com. He has a lot of the answers there. If you're a student interested in the program or the club or anything, message me. Happy to give you any and all information that we have at this time right now and let you know how you can get plugged in with that. Otherwise, everything else, man, it's 2019. I trust people can find us on the internet. But as far as closing remarks, I want to speak directly to the students when I say massive success is absolutely possible for you right out of school, but I encourage you to define what success looks like to you, because it is no one else's decision to say what your success is. If that means seeing 1,000 a week, great. If that's 200 a week, but it's all cash and you make 10 times what the guy taking insurance and seeing 1,000 a week sees, great. If that means you want to be open 1 day a week and raise your family and do and travel and speak and mentor and also see people, great. Nobody gets to decide for you what your success looks like. Only you can decide that. But it is going to take some deep reflection to ask yourself, why is that success for me? What does my success look like and why am I striving towards that? Like you have a mission statement for your practice or a vision statement for your practice, have a mission statement and a vision statement for your life. And as Sean and Lacey would say, for your relationships, for your significant other. Know where you're going. Because if you don't, you'll probably end up somewhere else. Yogi Berra said that. And set those waypoints and those destinations and then work your ass off until you get there.
Yeah.
Going through school is not easy. Graduating, coming out, and opening a practice or starting as an associate, it's not easy, but it's worth it.
Right.
And so work your ass off. You get to be a part of the best profession in the entire world and do the amazing. Remove subluxation, allow people's bodies to function the way they're designed to function so you can give them their life back. You save lives in this profession. And I know it may be cliche, but damn, it's true, especially once you get into practice and you see it. It's so worth it.
Yeah.
So work hard, get there, define success for yourself, and make it happen.
Awesome. I love those closing remarks, Doc. Thank you. I'm going to do a quick shameless plug here. Hopefully, if anyone sees this video, they'll hear your closing remarks and they'll hear my shameless plug. But if not, they'll get amazing content if they watch anything else. So with that being said, Doc, I want to thank you for coming on the show. Again, this is Dr. Ryan Bones. We talked all about how students are getting more involved and need to be more involved in this profession. We talked about the IFCO ChiroSushi, where this profession and crazy profession is going, and how to market yourself in your community prior to even getting there, as well as pros and cons of insurance. This is all here brought to you on the Legendary Chiropractor podcast, the Chiropractic Compass podcast, and Facebook Lives. And with that being said, I want to encourage you, if you are a chiropractor watching this, or a doctor, or an office manager, whatever it might be for a chiropractor, please head to our website, postachiropracticjob.com right now to post your next chiropractic job advert with us on the Legendary Chiropractor. So with all of that behind us, with everything, Doc, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I'm so excited for you guys to rock out. I unfortunately cannot make it to ChiroSushi. I will be studying for part 2, part 3, and PT. But I will catch as many Facebook Lives as I possibly can because I know there will be a ton of online content streamed through Jim Chester, through Tristan, through you. I mean, I follow all of you guys anyways. So I thank you. I thank, Dr. Sean and Lacey and Tristan for all they're doing at ChiroSushi. You guys are doing amazing things, moving this forward, moving this profession forward and in the right direction, not just forward, aimlessly plugging away at things. You guys have a mission, you have a goal, and that's what this is all about. So thanks for being on with me for an hour and a half tonight. Woo! This is the longest podcast we have ever done, but it was the most important podcast because there are plenty of things that need to be heard.
Amen.
By students, doctors. I mean, it's just got to be heard. Play this over and over and over again. I love it, Doc. Thanks you for being on.
Brother.
Have a great, great evening, and enjoy Coeur d'Alene, Idaho.
I will. Thanks so much for having me on, man. Thanks for doing what you're doing for the students and for this profession. Proud of you, man.
Absolutely. Thank you. That means a lot to me.